Too often, black women prioritize a man's income over his masculinity, meaning he might can provide. He's willing to help with those children. He will nurture you, look out for you, but he might not be able to put you in a Mercedes. He might not be able to help you with that $1 million mortgage. And I've seen black women turn down good men, very good men, because he didn't have the economics, but he had everything else.
Dr. Umar says the reason why black women cannot get a black man is because too often black women are requiring that there's a finished product. He says that this is why the snow bunny crisis is so rampant, because a white woman will find a black man who has potential, invest in him, and then when you see that black man 5 years down the line as the finished product, you say, wow, look at that black man who sold out and got that snow bunny.
Anger that boils from black men going after white women, that's nothing new, right? Ever since I was a kid, there's always been criticism when it comes to dating outside your race. It doesn't matter what argument you make. It doesn't matter if you say, oh, it's just your preference and you got no hate towards black women. If you date outside your race, generally speaking, black people, whether it's black men or black women, they'll take that as an insult and a rejection of your own. Put that in quotes, your own. So here we have Dr. Umar ruffling feathers when he spoke up about why snow bunnies, which is I guess a euphemism for white women, they're scooping up a lot of the cis black men. He opined that a white woman is willing to see the potential in a black man and build with.
A big difference between the snow bunny and the African queen is the snow bunny will find a black man in progress. She will find him on the job. She will find him on the university. And that snow bunny will see a black man with potential and she will invest in him. She will help him level up. And then when the sisters see him 5 years ago, 5 years later, he's a millionaire. And the sisters say, look at that sellout. He went and got a white girl. But guess what? When he was looking for a sister to help him level up, to invest in him, none of them wanted it. You know why? Too many black women want a finished product.
So that lends weight to the argument that women don't want to run the race with you. They want to stay at the finish line and then hitch onto you once you made it. But is that wrong? And do women really do this? Is it as widespread as social media and YouTube they're making out to be? Let's talk about it. First off, who is Dr. Umar and why should people care what he thinks? Dr. Umar has been around for a while, but personally I didn't find out about him until like towards the end of Kevin Samuel's death because he was very critical of Kevin Samuel's message. Dr. Umar is someone who believes in Pan-Africanism, this notion of unifying Africans and eliminating colonial and white supremacy. Like they're the ones who talk about how, you know, if you're black, you have to prioritize, or you should prioritize, you know, supporting black-owned businesses, black communities, giving back to the black, building black families. Like if you're a black person, you should date black people. Like he's not a fan of interracial relationships. When it comes to Dr. Umar, I have reacted to him in the past. Like in the past or last year, he made a statement when he was on a daily wrap-up cruise.
You know, you're obviously against interracial relations when it comes to black men with black women. I mean, with white women.
With all women. You should only be with the black. Most of our children are raised by a single mother right now.
We have to be held accountable for their poor selection.
No, you have to be held accountable. No, you have to be held accountable because they have a poor selection.
See, he knows that black women are ending up with failed results because of their poor choices. But Dr. Umar is saying because she's not good at making decisions, black men must be held accountable.
Alright, so the first subheading is, will a white woman actually help a man grow? Now, anyone reading this, if you're from the opposite race, they will tell you, I'm pretty sure, they'll say, wait, hang on a sec. Because y'all act like white women just, you know, build up white men. White women don't want men who don't have their ish together either, alright? It's not just black women. So what those people of different races don't understand or they don't account for is the greater cultural diversity when it comes to white people. Meaning you could be white and there's country music, pop music, metal, whether you're in finance, whether you like to go boating on the weekends, or if you're a golfer, if you're a bar hopper, you know, if you're a sports fan, you know, there's so many cultures within being a white person that gives you a greater chance of finding someone who accepts you for who you are and you can fit in with that culture. With black people, not so much, all right? Especially since, I would say, the 90s. Before the 90s, we had the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Family Matters, the Cosbys, and then after, around mid-90s when the hip-hop came up, you know, we had the West Coast, East Coast hip-hop, that basically just took over. In the early 2000s, you had Air Force Ones and P. Diddy, and it's like, it basically pigeonholed black people and black culture into what is cool and acceptable and what isn't. And if you're not with the hip-hop crowd, if you're not with the R&B crowd, I used to grow up listening to the Backstreet Boys, right? Backstreet Boys, is you gay? No. Just like the Backstreet Boys. Listen when you talk. You got your pants on your hip? You wish you was white. No, I'm just me. And again, once upon a time, we had greater cultural diversity when it comes to being black. You could be an Eddie Winslow or a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or a Carlton, you know, or a Theo Huxtable and still find other people in your race accepting you, like, okay, that brother has a good head on his shoulders. I do think that's still happening in today's America. It's just not popular. And the problem with that, if you're not popular, you're lame. And a lot of people, especially black women, we're gonna talk about it, women in general, you follow the herd mentality instead of standing on your own. We're gonna talk about it. So, it's less about white women helping a black man grow and more about being with the woman who loves and accepts you for who you are and what you're trying to do. And sad to say, even if a black woman does like a black man, this does happen, trust me. I'm not an ugly guy. I've been around black women who you can feel when a woman's attracted to you, but they're so ingrained with, oh, what are my sisters gonna think? What are my friend group gonna think? For me, hanging out with this lame dude, even though I like him, he's attractive and everything. It does seem like a lot of women care more about what their narrow-minded friends and family will think, more so than how a successful marriage will look like with a man like that. So let's first hit on this notion of how white women supposedly see a man's potential and is willing to help him grow. Ladies, I think the notion is backed by what we're seeing on social media and TV. So before you get mad at men and why we're even talking about this, you gotta, it's sort of like, I get mad at the thugs. I get mad at the black men who commit crimes, right? Because they give us all, it makes us all look bad. No, you gotta accept it, right? Same token, when you see all these women on social media, on TV, all these pop balloon shows, basically the only way to disprove the notion is to combat it with examples of how the opposite of the stereotype is true. Sort of like how my very existence among my white colleagues and my clients proves that not all black men are about that life. Because if you look at social media and when you see clips of women like this one.
I'm going through a divorce.
What happened with that?
Basically, my husband stopped meeting my expectations. When I met my husband, I told him what I expect from a man. The number one rule with being with me is you have to provide. So my husband ended up losing his job. He came home and he told me. I'm like, okay, cool. All right. So a month went by and he looked for me to pay the bills. Who paying what bills? So I was going to consider it if he gave me the money back for paying the bills. And he told me no. He felt like he shouldn't have to do that. What do you mean? When I told you, as a man, I expect you to provide. Under no circumstances will I ever touch bills.
I mean, you could say that social media is a problem, but is it? Or does social media provide the proof that men have been complaining about for years? Because without it, would anyone really believe us? Right? If you said that, oh, actually women are more abusive than men are in relationships, would anyone believe that without the body cams and all of the police videos that have come out? Furthermore, one of the biggest issues as I see it is location and culture. I mentioned that the only way to combat stereotypes is for other black women to speak up and be promoted as the black women who actually do help their men build up and come up from nothing. But what happens when the good, decent black women do that? You know, what happens when they come out and they promote the message of being helpmates and traditional and supporting and nourishing the men?
Jonathan's viral interview where he said he had no idea who you were and the internet went insane.
How in the hell did you pull Simone's bio? How did you do that, bro?
Man, it's really how she pulled me, man. That's the question.
Oh, so you was really the catch in...
I always say we the men that catch, man. I always say we the catch.
What was your reaction?
I was sitting on the chair. You just couldn't see me on the video. I just thought that was funny and I thought that was cute that he thought he was good at everything. And then I go on Twitter and everybody's like, divorce this man. He's mean. And I'm like, he's the sweetest. And he never said I wasn't a catch. He said he was a catch because he is. I've never met a man like him. A lot of people that meet him are like, oh my gosh, like I want a man like that.
My girl said, he said he is the catch because he is. And what about it?
The main ones attacking these women are other black women. These ladies are called pick-me's and desperate. But why? I suspect, as strong and independent as modern women claim to be, they're really dependent on the herd, right? So when they say, oh, I'm strong and independent, really they're talking about from husbands and boyfriends. But they're definitely dependent on the herd, the social validation, the approval and acceptance of the sisterhood. Other women. When Simone Biles came out and defended her man's statement because he said that he was the catch, and she showed such grace and humility, right? We all know Simone Biles is clearly the more accomplished individual here, but she didn't mind the husband being the leader.
Here you have a world-known gold medal gymnast who slid in a man's DM. He didn't know who she was, and women were so triggered by him making it seem like he was the prize. And what I couldn't understand was, if Simone herself slid in his DM, wouldn't that suggest that she, on some level, saw him as a prize too? I think there was outrage because there's a large group of delusional women teaching other women the delusion of a man isn't the prize, unless he's reached a certain economic, reputational, or financial level. Or they're teaching even if he has those things I just named, he's still not the prize. He just qualifies for me. And Simone's response of, "Are y'all done?" was so gracious because she's not triggered at all. She's at home, married with her husband, while the woke, modern women are in shambles because Simone was able to find happiness with the kind of man that their modern feminist mentality told them to overlook.
I've seen so many pop the balloon shows where black women are passing on good, honorable, well-dressed, mature, and respectable brothers for some of the dumbest, most trivial reasons, right?
I pop my balloon because there's like no physical attraction.
I popped my balloon because I just wasn't attracted.
And I popped my balloon because you didn't really know what you wanted to say. You didn't know what you do. You forgot for a second. You forgot your name. I just don't feel anything. If I see you, I just walk past. It don't give me that energy.
And why did you pop your balloon?
I think we'd be better off as friends.
Is he your type?
It was working for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy. The sisters played me. But the snow buddy said the type for me. This is nasty work, man.
I don't want this one.
I need a drug dealer and then a scammer, then the 9 to 5.
I want the scammer first, then the drug dealer, then the 9 to 5.
1, 2, and 3.
Scammer 3.
Okay.
Drug dealer 2.
9 to 5.
9 to 5 1?
And they both agree.
Oh, my 9 to 5 fellas, we are winning.
But Rock, those are just social media shows. It doesn't reflect real life. It does in my world. I'm sure not the only black guy, right? A lot of the hottest sisters passed on us because we weren't hip enough. We were lame. So all these shows are doing, like I said, it's just providing evidence of what we've been saying all along, which is why I was upset with Dr. Umar's remarks when he said that, oh, well, the reason why women are in these situations is because they have a poor selection to choose from. No, they had a selection. They could have chose us. They didn't. So yeah, it's their fault.
Somebody else who says, a man has to stay single until he builds his business. That's it.
Next comes this comment, because on that video about Dr. Umar, this comment came up, right? Part of me does agree with this mentality. Like Nikola Tesla back in the 20s, once upon a time, I felt unworthy of being with a woman or having a girlfriend or a wife because I just graduated college and I had over $50,000 in student loan debt. So I had no stable career. I had no means to provide for my family or my wife, right? So it's the burden of performance that a lot of us men do embrace. So if women collectively, if women make this collectively a stance, a prerequisite to date and marry them, I'm cool with that because that's how my parents raised me and my brothers, to work hard, provide for your wife and family. That's what men do. Here's the problem. During this time that I didn't have a girlfriend, I wasn't having sex. Thus, I wasn't collecting STDs, I wasn't getting damage from betrayal and heartache and jealousy, nor did I produce any children outside of wedlock. While staying single and chaste, I worked on getting in shape. I make myself presentable so when I did find my wife, I'd be able to be my best version of myself, right? I'd be able to appeal to her with my best self. Is that what women are doing? Is that what modern women are doing? Let's say we men stay single until we build our business. Are we then rewarded with the prize of a single childless woman who's in shape, little to no body count, and giving us all the traditional grace and femininity we desired? Because it takes years for a man to build himself up and accomplish that, to have that business. So are the women saving themselves for those men? Or are they giving themselves to Pookie and Ray Ray, racking up this high body count and having children outside of wedlock? What's happening? As we all know, the prime, most fertile years of a woman's life is in her 20s. All right, a lot of ladies are blessed with good genetics. I'm not saying if you hit 30, you're no longer beautiful. I'm not saying at all. A lot of ladies take care of themselves. They hit the gym, so they can ride their beauty out into their 30s and 40s, right? But your prime years are in your 20s, for the most part, generally speaking. And therein lies a conundrum. Because if we follow the advice of staying single till we build our business, it will then make sense for us to pass over those women for the younger women in their 20s, because that's what we're attracted to.
If this isn't proof that it's totally okay not to be married by 30, I'm in the Sahara Desert with 18 incredible women about to go ride camels in the sunset.
I'm just having a really hard day. Trying to get ready.
That women tend to be happier when they are single.
I could have married a lot of the people that I've dated.
Okay, I turned 40 this year and I've never been in love. I've never been in a relationship.
You hear something or an update about your ex and it just kills you.
Women tend to be happier when they are single.
Struggling financially,
being alone, having no one there to talk to as you age, you know, no kids.
And I always thought I would have kids. I thought I would be married by now. And now the closer I get to it, and I'm scared. I don't know.
I didn't think it would be an issue. I'm 32 years old.
I'm 53. I would like to think that I'm still young.
Furthermore, if the prerequisite to marriage is being well established with your business built, what happens if you fall on hard times and a business collapse? I already played the clip earlier, right? Because that's basically what it sounds like the culture is giving license to. That the moment a man falls on hard times or he loses that business and everything he built himself up to be able to acquire a wife, once you get fired, hey, see ya. The next point when it comes to this that a lot of people haven't considered is that we're likely to meet more white women on our ascent. Can you stay in black communities and have a successful business? The answer is yes. I have the Turkey Hut right here. That was a successful black business, but they went under. They went bankrupt, right? Are you more likely, let me repeat that, are you more likely to be successful by leaving the black communities, the ghettos, the hubs of black people, and go to other communities where you mix with other races, i.e. white people, receive mentorship, network to build connections, leading to financial success? I argue yes. You have greater success if you look at Deion Sanders, man. I mean, he went to Colorado, he's blowing up. The moment he built his bones in Jackson State and he went to Colorado. A lot of male black athletes and entertainers that you read about who got married to white women, they met these women during that come up. Again, that's not to say that black women don't do this for their black men, but it's not as widely publicized as white women doing this for their black men. And even there, I blame the publishers because they know that black women will see the headlines and get angry, and a lot of people just love to be angry at something. I remember this image right here making rounds and ruffling feathers, and I'm like, look at them. I mean, there's black athletes at a high school or a college, I can't remember which one, and they have white women. It's like, consider their location, right? If I go to Japan because I want to go live in Japan, and I also want to get married, chances are I'm going to find a Japanese wife. Doesn't mean I hate black women or American women, I'm just in Japan. Lastly, let's wrap it up with the stereotype of, will a black man leave a good black woman?
Yo, I just watched a clip of Dr. Umar on this podcast, and I am so pissed right now. Dr. Umar, if you ain't Dr. Umar, y'all can scroll. Do me one favor, because I got so much respect for you. Stop pushing this goddamn narrative that black women are not interested in a black man that's in progress. That is such bullshit. That is probably the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard. The reason why we don't want to y'all when y'all ain't got is because you're not loyal. You're not loyal. It ain't never had to do with money. We've been taking care of y'all. We've been investing in y'all. We've been building y'all up, and then y'all leave us for other people. Then y'all throw other women in our faces.
All right, so there you heard it, man. I mean, her points are valid. She's definitely hurt. I don't want to be dismissive of that, right? Because I mean, I'd be narrow-minded to say that that's not true or that doesn't happen. I don't know. I don't date men. Because let's say the woman's criticisms are true, and she does risk pouring so much into him only for that guy to then leave her for another woman. And leave it down in the comment section and let me know what you think, because I honestly don't think there's a one-size-fits-all answer to that question. I do think that it's important on you as an individual to set boundaries and not allow yourself to be taken advantage of. I also think it's better to wait to marriage to have sex with them, because some people think that that's investing, is you giving your body to him. But for many, that's the carrot at the end of the stick. So why would he want to marry you if you're already giving him what he wants? So you as an individual do have to take responsibility for what you choose, who you choose to invest in, right? It takes discernment and wisdom, and hopefully you have people in your life that you can trust. Not the aunties who aren't married, but go to the ones who've been married for 20, 30, 40 years. Those are the ones, right? If you got no one, leave your community and find them. And if you're following God's principles via the Bible, then you know that money and materialistic things, they're not the most important aspects when it comes to relationship. 3 celebrity couples come to mind when it comes to black men who have stayed with their black women. Michael J. White, Denzel Washington, and Ice Cube, right? Why am I bringing up these celebrity couples? Well, it's my firm belief that the best way to instill wisdom and discernment in a person when it comes to prioritizing virtues and a potential spouse comes from the example you were raised with, as I just alluded to. A lot of people tend to go for partners that produce chaos and dysfunctional relationships because that's what they're used to. Trust me, I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not lying here. If you're not used to being with a good man or woman, it makes you feel awkward and out of place. You might try to self-sabotage or make things intentionally difficult to make up for your own self-doubt. What's self-doubt? Well, I've read from many that those who know that they're guilty of all kinds of sinful and immoral behaviors in the past, they tend to feel unworthy when they're with someone who's good-natured, kind, understanding, and treats them right. If you look at the black women of these black celebrity men who have been married for well over 20 years, you can tell by just looking at them that they all have something in common. They're helpmates.
I have a good woman. That's the bottom line. That's the truth. I have a good woman who who stuck by me through thick and thin, who raised our children when I was in London or Africa somewhere, takes a strong woman.
I love that clip so much because it talks about how much she really helped him. She was that Genesis chapter 3 helpmate that God intended for women to be. I know modern culture has indoctrinated ladies to then ask, well, why is it all about her helping him? Why can't the woman be the focus and men help the ladies to build something and achieve greater things? The answer is he can. But the priority, I'd argue, I found that the more humans turn their back on how God designed us to live, the more frustrated we become with life. Right? So all the anger and that's not just when it comes to the black community. I'm talking about in general. White people, it doesn't matter. Like the more you turn your back on God and think that you can live life without him and, I can live based on what the community thinks or what my own feeling thinks, you're going to run into frustration. Book of Proverbs, it tells us not to lean upon your own understanding. Right? You lean upon God, right? And if God is directing your life, if you pray that he puts his hand on you and guide your footsteps, you will do well, right? But the minute you start to say, oh, I'm gonna live however I want, there's a lot of lukewarm Christians, right? And then they get mad and because things fall apart and like, oh, well, I've been doing this. Have you? It's very hard to describe this in secular terms because we all know of couples, right? That's what the point of temptation is, right? The wicked prosper. That's what it means to live in this world. So it's very tempting to see the wicked prospering and think, oh, well, they're getting away with it. That's when it's up to you. Personal responsibility. It's like, regardless of what the world is doing, what are you going to do? All right. So like I said, it's very hard to describe this in terms of secular terms because we all know of couples where it seems that the woman wears the pants in a relationship. But how many of those marriages last for a lifetime? To wrap all this up, I'm not convinced, right? The title is, are black women, do black women not build with black men? I'm not convinced that that's true, all right? I'm not convinced that black women are not building with black men. We can get mad at social media for portraying black women as such, but that's nothing new. Even if you just watch the news, if you get too absorbed in what you're seeing, it can distort your reality a bit. For instance, I read the New York Post daily. If I'm not careful, I can be convinced that stabbings are happening on every block, avenue, and street while overlooking the fact that millions of New Yorkers use the subway lines to and from work every day and nothing happens to them. So just be the change you wish to see in this world. If the stereotypes aren't true, just prove it by example. That's really the best you can do.